This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
The summer of 69. It's episode 69 of Tigers Talk with Chirco and Company. I'm your host, Vito Jerome Chirco. And who sung that classic tune, Summer of 69? Do you know the name of the artist?
Fine Canadian Bryan Adams, Vito.
Absolutely. You're good with your music, huh? Well, with what music, I guess I should ask you, because I don't know deeply your intelligence regarding music, Doc.
All I got to tell you is around town, I'm not switching over to 100.3 just yet. Not exactly ready for the Christmas spirit, but on my radio station, obviously 97.1 The Ticket is what I listen to the most, but then behind it, I listen to 96.3 WDVD. Great soft rock popular hits. I like it.
That's everything then, huh? It's a diverse portfolio, I guess you could say, of music and great tunes according to you, and I think a lot of people do like that station. Now, how about these lyrics here? We haven't had that spirit here since 1969.
I've never heard of that ever.
You don't know that lyric? What song that's from? That lyric is from the classic song, Hotel California by the Eagles.
Gotcha.
Legendary group. You've heard of the Eagles.
And I've played, Guitar Hero, and I've jammed out to that, but no. Eagles a little too light, a little too old-fashioned. 96.3, if you're listening, it's not a bad station to tune into. What do you listen to in your car?
Honestly, Sirius XM, so a variety of stations on Sirius XM. You got the 90s on 9, 80s on 8, 70s on 7. You got Venus, which is station 3 on Sirius XM. I love that as well. I love the EDM, the dubstep. I'm going to a music festival in Miami come late March 24th through the 26th, I believe. And that will be around the time of spring training, right when all the Tigers are nearing the end of spring training in Lakeland, Florida. And the Tigers, we have to talk about the Tigers. You know why? Because this is Tigers Talk, episode 69, Doc. And have you been listening to the latest rumors circulating and heating up on the hot stove that is really picking up because of the fact that it is currently the winter meetings in Maryland this year, and not a lot of big moves so far, Doc, and not a lot of big moves made by the Tigers. Nothing really besides for the Cameron Maben deal, which was made now a while back. It seems like ages ago when they dealt Maben to the Halos now, Doc. And now it's about what's the biggest move that's going to happen coming up here. And will there be a big move, coming up during the winter meetings? What do you think at this point, Doc, after what we heard from Avila?
Yeah, what, he said, and he's been making the rounds on MLB television, and he's been kind of talking about the fact that teams have come to him with offers for the big-name players like Miguel Cabrera, like Justin Verlander, like J.D. Martinez. But, Vito, because the Tigers showed their hand a little bit, kind of talking about that they wanted to cut payroll, the offers that have come in have been lowball offers. So he's looking at it, and the Tigers looked a little bit desperate. So, in essence, Avila can't just give away the players. So, in essence, he's trying to save face, and he's trying to say, you know what, hey, We're trying to move these guys, but we're not just going to give them away for nothing. We're trying to get equal value. So it's going to be super hard, I believe, to make moves. I would ask you, who do you think is, if there was a player that was going to be moved during the winter meetings, who would it be? It would likely probably be Ian Kinsler or J.D. Martinez. But in the end, I don't think they're going to make a move just yet because I think teams might be waiting out Avila closer to the start of the season to see if potentially, is there really a mandate to cut payroll? Because if there is, maybe closer to, spring training, the Tigers might be more willing to let go of, some talent without getting back as much in return. So the Tigers' big mistake was a little bit in terms of, if you're a poker player, is a little bit they revealed what their intentions were when they came out, and Avila made a kind of a rookie mistake in that he came out and said, we've been living above our means for so long. And that indicated to everybody that, hey, that maybe the Tigers might be willing to cut payroll and be willing to maybe sell these guys at a cheap rate. But he's come out now in the last week and has been like, no, that's not the case. We're not just going to give them away. There's no mandate. What mandate? I'm going to spend what I need to. It's just probably not going to be over, we're not going to give away too many $100 million contracts. So Avila made a mistake in terms of politics and revealing what his intentions were, which is what is causing Avila to have trouble making a solid move to get rid of these guys. Had he not done that and said that, maybe when he goes to the winter meetings, he can kind of start the process of letting people know, hey, I'm listening for offers for JD, for Justin Verlander. So Avila's probably getting an education right now in terms of trying to move your talent when everyone else knows that you're a little bit desperate and trying to save money. So it's a very interesting time, these winter meetings. Lots of good MLB hot stove talk, and I'm interested to get your perspective on what you've seen, and do you believe that Avila's mistake is a major one?
Well, now he's not so desperate. According to what was reported, what he came out and said yesterday to reporters at the winter meetings, he said that there's never been a mandate to dump salary, and there's never been a mandate scheduled for you and I. There never will be a mandate for you and I, and there's never been a mandate, according to Avila, about dumping salary. Now, I think he's flip-flopping, or he played a fake poker hand. He played a poker hand and kept his poker face when he said what he did earlier this offseason. When the season concluded, he had his end-of-the-season press conference to a select amount of media members. He came out and made it sound like, because of what you just reiterated to the masses here on this week's podcast, Doc, that because they were operating above their means for so long with their payroll, that they wanted then subsequently to cut payroll. I mean, that was what we got from that, what everybody took from that, and now he's flip-flopping. Now, is that a result of him? Was he laying out a smokescreen back then? Is this a smokescreen now, what he's saying? And will they actually just dump some salary? Or do you think it's more the fact that he's flip-flopping because of the fact that maybe ownership has caused this to happen? Maybe even ownership has said that we're not in it for the long haul, and we want to sell this team, and we're going to do it sooner than later now to the likes of maybe Tom Gores and Dan Gilbert, or just to one of the two. And those guys are guys that you would think want to spend some money.
It makes no sense what he's saying. Attendance has been down. When you look at the operating costs and things like that, yes, baseball teams make a lot of money, but what's been reported and what's out there, it would lead you to believe that the Tigers have been losing money lately. And so maybe officially, quote unquote, he wasn't told, officially in a meeting, cut payroll. But I'm sure there's other ways of saying, hey, we need to kind of restructure the team. We need to look at the effectiveness of our players. We need to kind of relook at how we're allocating contracts. You don't have to come out and formally say, if you want to use the proper words, hey, we're cutting payroll, because not only does that affect other major league teams, that affects your customers. You're basically saying, okay, we're not going to be competitive when you say that. And so I think once he came out at the end of the season, he made a mistake in terms of how he revealed it. Yes, I believe he's trying to get value out of JD Martinez because they don't want to pay him what his next contract is going to be. They've already started to talk last year when a couple years back when they started the process of renewing the deal. And when you do a deal with someone, there are indications of what kind of negotiation you're going to have. And JD's, by all accounts and what's been reported, is similar to Max Scherzer in that he probably wanted a little bit more money, settled on the deal that he took, but going forward, the numbers that he's going to expect, the Tigers don't want to pay. So you don't want to just let him go to free agency and walk away. You want something for him. But what's being offered is, pennies on the dollar.
Squat. It's not good enough for JD.
So Avila, I believe, made a huge mistake in how he played this, and he's backed himself into a corner because, if you have this payroll at $190 million, you don't have enough to win. You have to up the payroll to make the Tigers competitive. So you either are going to go two ways, Vito. You're either going to up the payroll or you got to shrink it. You can't keep it the same. So he's just doing a little bit of PR, trying to appease the fan base and let them know that, hey, we can still be competitive. But in essence, there is a mandate to lessen the payroll because the first move that was made was a move that most people believe when you let go of and you trade Cameron Maybin is a move made to save a little bit of money. And I believe that it's in their best interest to try their best to make these moves and to lessen their payroll because look what the Indians did. Look what the Royals did. You can be competitive, especially in the AL Central, without dropping $200 million. But if there's no mandate to cut payroll, why isn't there a mandate maybe to increase payroll? See, you are allowed to go the other way. He doesn't have a free checkbook. Everyone out there knows it. He's not Dave Dombrowski in Boston. He has a limit. They know what it is. It's just he's trying to appease the fan base and also tell the other general managers, hey, don't come at me with deals that are ridiculous like you have been. We're not exactly desperate. We want to make a move, but we're not sitting here trying to just give away our guys. That's not going to happen. So I think you got a lesson from this. You got to kind of keep your cards close to the vest, and it's put him in a tough predicament. It's making his job harder than it needs to be based upon what he said.
He revealed his hand earlier during that end of the season press conference to those select media members, and it seems like he revealed to the masses a fake hand. Was he faking us out once again? Because he is contradicting himself now. He is being hypocritical because of the fact that you brought up this deal, the Cameron Maben deal. It was made early in the offseason, and it looked like for pure salary dumping reasons. It was not a baseball move because it wasn't good for the baseball club dealing him for what they did. They got nothing in return. That was a pure salary dump from what I read. And then you come out now and saying there's been no mandate to dump salary. There's never been a mandate to dump salary. Then why dump Maben, right? You were dumping him in the form of a salary dump because you got nothing quality in return that can help out your Major League Ball club in 2017 or beyond, truly. So all they got there was a lessening of the payroll a bit by dealing Maben. So with what he is making Maben, the contract option, the option that he had for 2017 was $9 million, from my knowledge. That's all you had to pick up, and then you had to keep him on the books for that amount. For a guy that had a career year, might have been a career aberration. We've talked about it ad nauseum before about Maben. But the pure principle or fact is that if he puts up the numbers that he did last year, then he'll be worth that price tag, the $9 million price tag in 2017. Big time. So what you gave up for him does not equate to a pure baseball move that helps out your baseball club in the near or long-term future. That's why that was a salary dump. So what he's doing now, he's contradicting himself, or they're flip-flopping now, and he didn't know about it because the ownership group, the Ilitch family, or maybe the looming Gilbert ownership, or Tom Gore's ownership, has directed Avila into this new realm of thinking about actually building a winner in 2017, or more in the immediate future than what was previously directed to him by the higher-ups, such as Chris Ilitch. So I think it might be because of that, a mandate provided by Chris Ilitch. I think it was to dump salary at one point. Now it might not be the same because maybe talks that Ilitch and Dan Gilbert or Tom Gores had. Maybe when the Pistons announced their move to Little Caesars Arena in downtown Detroit, maybe Gores and Chris Ilitch had preliminary talks about selling the ball club to Tom Gores. Maybe that did come up in those talks when they did have that press conference announcing the Pistons moved downtown to Little Caesars Arena. So maybe that has changed what Al Avila will be doing now this offseason and what moves he will make. Because I got to believe there has to be something like that happened at one point if the mandate to dump salary is no longer.
Okay, so where we're at currently is Avila has set the stage and said, listen, we're not going to bring in guys that are, tallying $100 million contracts that are guaranteed. The new collective bargaining agreement has raised the luxury tax to $195 million. Now, that was a little bit lower than what Major League teams expected by about $10 million. They thought that the luxury tax would be set at $205 million. With the tax set at $195, that means teams like the Tigers don't want to absorb too many bad contracts. And he also is Avila's looking and seeing that after 2017, Martinez and Kinsler come off the books. 2018, Anibal Sanchez and Victor Martinez. So some of the pressure and guaranteed money is going to come off of the books. So he's kind of looking around saying, listen, yes, we're trying to trim the payroll, but some of it's going to happen naturally by us probably not re-signing some of the guys when their deals are up. So to answer your question, no, he didn't put out a false narrative. It was a real narrative. He just didn't think about the consequences that were going to happen as a result of saying what he said.
So you're saying, let me ask you now this.
The current thing that he said is PR. What he said currently is
so he's just blowing smoke up our behind us.
Yes.
It's a smoke screen, a true smoke screen. So what he said before was the truth, you
exactly.
think? So now you think is he changing course at all because of this? Now, let me ask you a follow-up question to what you just said. You said it's a smokescreen, but is he maybe changing course a little bit too because of the fact that he saw that teams are just calling him and expecting to get these guys for nothing? Is it because of that too? Because he doesn't want to give up these players for nothing at the same time?
Exactly. That's what's going on. He's trying to leverage the talent that he has and maximize his return. And I understand that right away, in that the first offer that teams are going to make you isn't going to be the best offer. And obviously, once they realized what he said, they came in with crappy offers. He came out and said
and once they saw what Maben went for nothing. So they probably thought, well, then JD can go for nothing.
Exactly.
For little to nothing, Ian Kinsler, Victor Martinez, even maybe Miguel Cabrera, maybe Justin Verlander. And now these owners and GMs of opposing ball clubs are thinking, well, now the course has changed. Avila's looking for big-time prospects in return. Big-time hauls, which people thought, these opposing teams thought, oh, this isn't going to be the case. Now it is. And Avila, more power to him for growing a pair, I think, and saying, we're not going to just give up these players for nothing, no matter what the mandate might have been from ownership, such as Chris Ilitch, to dump salary.
Okay, Vito, so what is your percentage chance that the Tigers return with the exact same team, minus Cameron Maben, minus Saltalamacchia, who they are not going to pick up his contract? What are the chances they come back with the same squad, just minus those two guys?
I think it could be very likely. I think it really could be very likely.
75%?
Well, you said no Salty, no who else?
Cameron Maben.
Well, yeah. I mean, that might be the case where they rid themselves of those two guys, which aren't big losses, and move on and have the same ball club that they have right now. Yes, I think outside of Jared Saltalamacchia, who, like we said, is going away. We've already heard about that. So I think, yeah, the rest of the roster could be intact at the end of this winter meetings, which is surprising after what we thought, what I had said on last week's podcast when I said, oh, I got to believe one of JD Martinez and then Ian Kinsler, one of those two guys gets dealt during the winter meetings this week. Now I'm changing course myself, just like Avila has apparently done so, to some degree at least. I'm changing course and saying it could be very likely, as Avila came out and said, that Tigers don't deal either guy, meaning both guys could be on the Major League opening day roster come 2017, which is very surprising after what we all expected because of what we heard from Avila during the end of the season press conference. And like I said, let me just reiterate this point. He came out yesterday, and when asked Avila if he could envision a scenario in which the Tigers don't trade either Ian Kinsler or JD Martinez, Avila said it's very possible. A direct quote from Mr. Avila. That's telling you that, like we just said, that they're not going to just dump these guys for nothing at this point. But if I had to still pick one guy that's most likely to be dealt during this year's winter meetings this week, it would be Ian Kinsler. Now, the biggest, most impactful move would be dealing JD Martinez. You would get the greatest haul in return of players that could help you out maybe in the near future to an extent, but also, and most importantly, in the long-term future. So I'm still going to stick to that Kinsler is the likeliest of the two, and I could still see him at the same time being dealt this week. And I don't think it would be a bad move. But I think if they're changing course a little bit to wanting to win now more in the immediate future, meaning in 2017, then Tigers can't deal JD Martinez. He's going to help you out way too much and hurt you way too much by dealing him. So Kinsler, you can make up for, in my opinion.
I would say that my percentage is that the team returns the exact same, just minus those two players, is about 35-40%. I do believe one person is going to be moved.
So who is that going to be for you? Because I said Kinsler.
I believe so. I think Kinsler's a guy that will draw something later on. If you wait this out a little bit, teams should line up for a second baseman coming off of the season that he had. My goodness, I think you have a chance if you're a contender and you need a second baseman to provide you with some pop, with some consistency. I think he brings a lot to the table, and a team like, a team that's close to playoff success or just needing to get into the postseason would really like an Ian Kinsler. So I do believe that if one player is going to be gone, the most likely is probably going to be Ian Kinsler. And it'll be interesting to see how they handle what's happened, how it's going to play out, because, Avila, with his words, has now seen the impact and the effect of what's going to happen. I think it's going to be a quiet winter meetings for the Detroit Tigers. A lot of calls, a lot of preliminary kind of talk, seeing exactly what teams are willing to offer, but I don't think final moves will be made until potentially later on before spring training. How much stock did you take, and how much surprise how surprised were you when you heard that JV and the missus bought a home in California for big-time money?
He's Mr. Hollywood. She's a supermodel, an actress, or a wannabe actress. I don't know how good she really is as an actress. No offense to her or JV. I hope he doesn't come after us now and say, oh, we just offended him because we just called out his girl. But I could see them going, I could see him being traded, like I said, to the LA Dodgers, who, you said they had a mandate maybe from Rob Manfred to lessen their payroll. Guess what? They just signed a 36-year-old, Rich Hill, to a 3-year, $48 million deal. And he pitched Rich Hill for the independent Long Island Ducks in 2015, and they just gave him a 3-year, $48 million deal to an aging vet who has been injury-prone. He fought injuries in the second half of this past season, pitched through them, but when he gets to 37 and beyond, even right now, pitching through those injuries, it doesn't last. They affect you. They hit your arm, then you're no longer the same. And they just gave him that rich of a deal. That's telling you, no pun intended, that rich of a deal to Rich Hill. That tells you right there, Doc, that they're still willing to spend, still willing to take on salary, such as JV's, maybe albatross of a contract. Now, not as much as it was after his past season when he should have, could have, would have won the Cy Young in the American League. But anyways, that's a story for another day. The principle here, or premise of this story, is that the Dodgers can take on the payroll. They might make a deal for Justin Verlander. But the guy that really comes to my attention that we should bring up right now is Ian Kinsler. They might make a deal for because they have that void at second base. He's a great upgrade. There's nobody better out there right now to upgrade with at second base than Ian Kinsler, who brings you some pop at that position. And you don't always get guys with pop at second base. He can provide you that and a Gold Glove caliber glove. A guy that just won the American League second base Gold Glove. So his stock will never be higher, I believe, going forward. That's why the Tigers, I wouldn't fret it if they dealt him. And I don't think they should worry dealing him and making up for that void at second base in 2017, because you take a little bit of a hit, sacrifice some production at second base, and you get younger for the team as a whole, kind of retooling. With that theme of retooling, they can retool a little bit there by dealing him, and it wouldn't hurt them too much in the present mode either. So that's why I keep saying I think it's most likely they deal him, and the Dodgers are a candidate. Watch out for them to take on a contract such as Ian Kinsler, because it looks like after signing Rich Hill, they once again don't care about adding payroll and adding an immense amount of payroll as well, possibly, Doc.
Okay, before we get into the big name guys, news was made on Friday, December 2nd, when the Tigers tendered contracts to all 6 arbitration eligible players. Jose Iglesias, Nick Castellanos, Justin Wilson, Alex Wilson, Bruce Rondon, and Andrew Romine were tendered, which means that they have until February to work out some deals, and each of them is going to get a little bit of a raise. Of those names, Jose Iglesias, Nick Castellanos, Justin Wilson, Alex Wilson, Rondon, Andrew Romine. Is there a name on there where you go, really? Why would you consider tendering that guy?
Well, easily Andrew Romine. What does he add? As nothing. Utility player, that's it. Has no bat, no true significant defensive impact, and nothing at all at the plate.
And according to MLBTradeRumors.com, he might get a raise from about $900K that he made last year to $1.2 million.
That seems like an albatross of a contract, but it's a going rate for a backup, a guy that can play pretty much all positions in the
work
infield.
If you can get it, huh?
Nice work for that guy, for a guy that's coming off the bench, really sitting the pine most of the season, comes in a few times and doesn't really add anything of significant value with the bat or any significant value at all as a ball player, even as a backup. So it must be nice for him, huh?
It's nice for Major League Baseball. Look at this formula and how it's going to go. Iglesias last year made $2.1 million. His number probably is going to give him a raise to about $3.2 million. Nick Castellanos, for what he was doing, was great on the books, making only $536,000 last year. His raise is going to go up to $2.8 million.
And more going forward if he keeps producing like he did last season.
You believe that regular folk get raises of like 0.5%, 1%, meaning like 20 cents on the dollar, 25 cents, at most a couple dollars.
Maybe get $1 raise. Yeah, I'm looking for $1 raise. He's getting how much there?
$2.5 million raise in 1 year. You believe
that's significant change for a guy that's worth it, though. He's more than deserving, and he'll get more and more money. You think 2.5 is a lot right now for him? Guess what he'll be getting in a year from now, maybe less than a year. He's a guy that's worth about $10 million per season already at this point, because he's young too, remember.
Looking at this screen, I'm getting a little bit frustrated. Look at this number. Justin Wilson's raise goes to $2.7 million. He made $1.5 last year. I like him at 1.5. I don't think I like him at 2.7. He gave up the great thing was when you listen to the broadcast and you'd go, Justin Wilson just gave up a home run to a lefty. He hadn't given up a home run to a lefty in a year and a half. Well, thanks. Now you come to the Tigers, you're giving up home runs.
And now he's doing it. Now we're hearing about the home runs, home run after home run. Different story with him in 2016. Wasn't as productive, especially in the second half of the season. But Jay Wilson was good. He was good in the first half. But these guys are getting raises, as you just said, left and right. No matter how good you really are, they get raises. It's a current state of economics in Major League Baseball. And it's a good state that baseball is in. That's why I told you on last week's podcast, the lockout was not happening. Remember, I called, you got to give me some credit. You did on Twitter. I just didn't see it happening because the league is flourishing with all the young talent, under 25 or 25 and under talent. And the teams that are winning now, the parity, a team like the Cubs, who had that long of a drought, winning this past season, the Fall Classic, that was a great story for Major League Baseball. And the Indians made the World Series. And all these teams, a lot of them, and more as we keep going here, are relevant. That's why Major League Baseball is in one of its greatest states that it's ever been, since I've been alive at least, since 1993, baby. So, can say that much about the current state of the game. And as part of the new CBA, it has dictated that the All-Star Game will no longer determine home field advantage for the Fall Classic. Congratulations to Major League Baseball on getting that right. Rob Manfred, what a great addition to the language in this new CBA.
I think it's a good idea. It's kind of a game where, every team is supposed to be represented. Why did the Indians earn home field in the World Series? Now, it didn't turn out to play out, but had the Indians really stepped up in Game 7, it might have been a huge factor in that they came back, they had the momentum, the rains kind of, or if you believe in baseball gods, kind of allowed the Cubs to regroup. But if you looked at it, Cubs deserved home field advantage.
Absolutely, 103 wins, and they almost didn't get home field. Indians got it based on the All-Star Game factor. I had a big beef, remember, about that, and it seems like you do as well.
Yeah, it was a reaction because you got to remember back in the day there was an All-Star Game that was just going on and on and on and ended in a tie, and people didn't like that, and they reacted and said, you know what? When you look at the Pro Bowl, when you look at the NHL All-Star Game, when you look at the basketball All-Star Game, and you look at Major League Baseball's All-Star Game, Major League Baseball has an advantage in that the game is most similar to what you see. It's just that it should not determine home field advantage of the World Series where all the marbles are at stake. Why would you do that? But it was a reaction because you need ratings. You need people to watch these games. You're pumping out money to put on these kind of games. So what I would do is, giving them free advice is, hey, what do these guys like? Cashola, baby. So you make the winning team get an extra $200K. I'm sure you could float that from the sponsors. Each team maybe gets $50,000 guaranteed to show up. Each player gets, a certain number to show up. But if you're on the winning team, you get an extra $250,000. You don't think that might put a little pep in your step? And I think baseball could do that, is just make it a monetary thing. Hey, you play for money. The fans will get into it, and it might make the game a little bit more meaningful. But the NHL game is nowhere. They don't play defense. The NBA
don't play defense. Talking about defense, no defense. NFL, no defense in the Pro Bowl.
So it's unwatchable. Why would you sit and watch it? So the All-Star games are, if you're looking to spice it up a little bit, make it as similar to the game as possible. Play for real. And make it about the cash, baby. I would be down for that. Hey, you get an extra $250,000, you win the game. Boom. You have a competitive game. They enjoy it. It's fun. And yeah, you get $50,000 to show up, but you get $300 to walk out a winner. You might play for something. I don't know if baseball would ever do that, but they need to find some kind of gimmick to make the game watchable because, you don't want just guys going up there serving up meatballs to the other team because in the end, if the ratings are bad, when you go to renew the deal, advertisers are just going to be like, I'm out. I don't want to renew. I don't want to be featured with the All-Star Game. No one's watching.
Doc, because I know you know it big time after what you just said. Cold hard cash is always sexy, isn't it? It's a man's dream. And you know what? I heard there's a bigger pool of money available for the players now. Actually, Rob Manfred did determine that there will be a bigger pool of money. And what's a greater incentive than that? It's a realistic or logistical, right?
Or bling
incentive,
or maybe
some
$80,000, maybe $80,000 to $100,000 bling or something.
Some jewelry, a nice necklace, bracelet, something like that. Some of those guys would love that, but who loves anything more than cash? Not a lot of people do. Those players normally don't love anything more than cash. That's why they leave ball clubs left and right. So I think what Major League Baseball is doing is the right thing. So I would say it's smart. If I asked you smart or dumb, you would say smart as well. Correct, Doc?
I'm all aboard. We need a better way to make these All-Star games better, but in the end, it is something that these leagues got to figure out. But yeah, of course, the team that with the best record deserves to be representing and getting more games in the World Series, no doubt about it.
Rob Manfred got it right. But Selig, though, I got to give him this much. He got it right a little bit, Doc. I think the All-Star game determining home field for the league that wins the All-Star game, determining that home field in the Fall Classic for that league that won the All-Star game, it ran its course in so many words. So it was good at first because, remember, you brought it up too, that it came into existence. Now, this is the year it actually came into existence. It came into existence in 2003 after the memorable and maybe the infamous 0-2 All-Star game that ended in a tie. Bud Selig then made the decision to make the All-Star game winner get home field. The team from the league that won the All-Star game would get home field in the Fall Classic. So he made that rule after that infamous All-Star game in 0-2 that ended in a tie. So he had to do something to spice it up. He did, but in so many words, once again, the All-Star game determining home field advantage in the Fall Classic ran its course. We know that much, Doc. And with that wraps up that conversation as we now look to enter a commercial break here on episode 69 of Tigers Talk. And when we get back, Doc, we will dive into the topic of Bruce Rondon playing for Omar Vizquel and GM Carlos Guillen of Team Venezuela in the World Baseball Classic. We'll be right back. Hey guys, it's Vito Chirco here from Top Cat Sales in downtown Royal Oak. Are you looking for team apparel for your high school, your club sports team, or your corporation? Well, if so, then look no further than Top Cat Sales, located on the east side of Main Street in downtown Royal Oak, between 11 and 12 Mile. Through founder and former University of Michigan quarterback John Wangler's leadership, Top Cat Sales has developed a tradition of selling and distributing custom Adidas team apparel with the very highest quality and the very best service. So get your organization, your school, or club team all in with Adidas today by going online to TopCatTeamSales.com. Once again, the website for Top Cat Sales is TopCatTeamSales.com. And remember to follow Top Cat Sales on Twitter at Team Top Cat.
Now, Vito, Top Cat's been a great sponsor of ours for the entire year of 2016. A great sponsor. We're very lucky to work with them. And if you check out our Twitter page at Detroit Podcast, I recently seen something that was awesome. Top Cat helmet. Tell me a little bit about that. That was pretty sweet.
Provided by Zenith Football, a great helmet distribution company, a company that's based in Detroit. So Detroit proud, very proud of our partnership with them at Top Cat Sales. And they gave us a white one and that blue one that you saw that you retweeted, you loved, and now you want one from Zenith, don't you?
Of course I want one. Now, the problem is, though, you were not able to fit it into my budget, which I thought was a fair budget.
The budget is a little bit low. Okay, $39.99 is what Doc wanted from Zenith. That's all the budget he has for that helmet. That lovely helmet that cost a few more bucks, I know, than $39.99.
See, but I do want to say thanks to Top Cat Sales for what they've done for the network. The voting for the High School Coach of the Week was out of this world. It really greatly helped our website, DetroitSportsPodcast.com. So we greatly appreciate the relationship we have with our sponsors, and Top Cat Sales is a great one, and we look forward to continuing that relationship in 2017. A great sponsor, Top Cat Sales.
And Doc, speaking of the Coach of the Week, we just had the Coach of the Year announced. And the Top Cat Sales Football Coach of the Year award went to Cass Tech's Thomas Wilcher, who led his team to a 14-0 mark. The first ever undefeated season in Cass Tech football history. And a great season at that for Thomas Wilcher and the Cass Tech technicians. Thanks again to Top Cat Sales as we look forward to a great 2017. Back here on episode 69 of Tigers Talk with Chirco and Company. I'm your host, Vito Jerome Chirco, along to my sidekick, my partner in crime, that is the Doc from Doc and Jock. I didn't really even introduce you today, did I? I don't think I did, but now I did formally to make up for it.
Listen, everybody knows who's sitting next to you.
Yeah, I think they know who you are and who I am at this point on episode 69. And we got to look at, but Doc, I think you have a little something for me maybe before I get to Rondon.
Yeah, you're rocking the Valiant hat, a great brand again. When are you, every week I get a little bit excited when you're going to pull up, and I look out and I see you out the window. I'm like, okay, is he going to have the big Block M suit ready to rock in the studio? This week you didn't have it. I got to know, man, when are you going to rock a custom Michigan suit?
When you buy it for me. I will. No, I'm going to get one for free from my boss, the CEO of Top Cat Sales, John Wangler. He said he would get me one, but I got to bring in a suit jacket of my own. I keep saying it. It's like I'm beating a dead horse right now, right? Because I've said it numerous times now, it seems like, on this podcast. And
this is bad.
I never live up to the...
It's free.
I know, it's free.
Give him the suit.
I got to go follow suit and give the suit to the guy, right? It's on me. I know. I've been dragging my feet. I'll take ownership of it, Doc.
I don't understand. Like, see, that's the kind of thing when you work like a guy like me who has like 5-6 things going on at the same time.
8 things going on, yeah.
Yeah, I got 8 things going on, and an opportunity presents itself to get something free. Why are you dragging your feet? The part that I like, though, is when we compensate you for the fine work that you do, you wait a month to get compensated.
Well, I don't need the money. I'm making big bucks. I'm a millionaire, obviously. That's why I'm doing this podcast.
Did you ever hear that story? I believe there was a story. Ricky Henderson. You ever hear that great story about Ricky Henderson? If you look it up and you Google it now, maybe when I'm talking, he got a bonus check or a check for $1 million. And, a year goes by and he comes back into the general manager's office and they start going over the accounting. And they ask him, they go, Ricky, you didn't cash that $1 million check. What happened? They're looking at the books. It's, this check is outstanding. What'd you do with the $1 million? He goes, oh, I framed it. He framed $1 million check and put it up in his home and didn't cash it.
I just saw it. It's a weird and funny story, according to USA Today, and it sounds like you think it's the same. Weird. Now, funny as well. Framing a $1 million check. That's what he did without ever cashing it.
In the circles, people go, seriously? You really, framed up $1 million check? Well, you're doing it on a smaller scale, but I greatly appreciate it.
Hey, if I was making $1 million like that, I'd be depositing every single check I'm making. I'm not making that much.
So you have an edict now. You have a mandate from...
a mandate being directed by the doc. Wow.
First mandate of the week is by Friday, I need you to give the boss the suit, man. Let's go. Do you have a suit?
I do.
Okay.
So that's not the problem. It's me dragging my feet. Being a lazy mother, you know what, right? Probably a little bit of that on my part.
Stop dragging your feet. You're getting a free swag, and it looks cool. I mean, I see it all on I see it on a couple of Michigan
John
fans.
Jansen, sideline reporter for U of M's, football radio broadcasts. So he's donning it. I might be doing something with him, maybe a commercial shoot, or at least I would like that. It'd be really cool, wouldn't it be?
Of course it would be. You show up to the tailgate that you're invited to where the VIPs go, snapping pictures with Braylon Edwards. He got a chance to meet you. You need to be rocking that suit, and it provides us an opportunity to showcase it and show it off here on the DSP network.
To showcase how sexy I am, right? Because you want to showcase it all the time.
Listen.
Or no, it's not about that?
It's marketing, baby. Everyone likes the Block M, and so seeing you in it would probably be cool. Maybe get a couple extra 100 hits or whatever.
Yeah, some favorites, some retweets, absolutely. And I think I look all right in it.
So
it's some swagoo.
Will you follow the mandate?
The mandate I can deliver on. I can do that for you this week. And if not this week?
No, this week.
Look at that. I'm going to just turn the tables here. But we got to turn the tables and talk about the Tigers now again. And a guy that needs to look a little bit more sexy in a Tigers uni in 2017. That is Bruce Rondon, who has a possibility of playing for Team Venezuela, led by Omar Vizquel and GM Carlos Guillen in the World Baseball Classic coming up in 2017. And the thing is, Vizquel made the comments that, in so many words, Rondon, though, he just wants to make sure that he is ready to go, first and foremost, that he is in shape. And will he come to spring training ready? Now, what I wanted to bring up on this week's podcast, Doc, is that this might motivate him the most that he's ever been motivated, because he's not the most easily motivated guy. This might do it, though. Might get him in shape. Could you see that being the case, that this opportunity to play for Team Venezuela in the World Baseball Classic in 2017 will get Bruce Rondon in top-notch shape, which we have never been able to say about him. That is, him being in top-notch shape.
That would be great. He had, I believe, a solid 2016.
Well, especially in the second half. Yeah, down the stretch he did.
Yeah, so I think a continuation of that would be fine. You take a chance anytime you go and do baseball activities outside of the regular season. You take a chance that he could be injured. You take a chance that something may happen. You remember last offseason when he was throwing down, he was throwing punches and getting involved in brawls and stuff like that in the offseason, but I think it's a good thing. What do you think about potentially Justin Verlander? I heard he might pitch for the United States.
He called Leland during the World Baseball Classic press conference yesterday.
I would be more opposed to that. Guy's got a lot of tread on his arm. I know he had
a
great
season. Don't get hurt,
season.
you're saying, right?
I would say save the tread for the Major League season. When you're Bruce Rondon and your salary is at a certain scale and you're Justin Verlander, I would lean towards not using Justin Verlander because the risk is too great. I mean, you really need him down the stretch. You need him really rock and rolling in July, August, September for the Detroit Tigers. When you're making $28 million plus a season, you need your guy, you need your horse, and you can't take any chances. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't allow it if I was a Tigers organization. I would say, Justin, that's great. You're showing passion. We appreciate it, but don't do it.
But his former teammate Max Scherzer is doing it. I believe Chris Archer's doing it. It sounds like Buster Posey will be doing it. A lot of big names have been signing on in recent memory. And now Verlander's getting that urge, right? Getting that adrenaline flowing, wants to represent his country and win a World Baseball Classic title when nobody's really ever given the U.S. a legitimate shot in the WBC. The U.S. might have a shot now, and he only adds to that possibility by him suiting up with Team USA in the World Baseball Classic. But I was going to say you need him for that run to the World Series in 2017. But the Tigers aren't adamant about making that run to the Fall Classic, and they might be dealing some guys to prevent that from happening. So maybe Verlander also sees the writing on the wall and sees, well, if I'm not going to win a World Series, get any hardware, some bling-bling from playing for the Tigers in 2017, why don't I go and attempt to do that with Team USA in the World Baseball Classic? Maybe that's his opportunity to get some hardware, to get a ring. Don't you agree with that or see some of that being valid with Verlander and maybe his reasoning for wanting to pitch for Team USA in the WBC?
Listen, this guy's an ultra-competitive guy. He wants to represent his country. I get all that. That's
and
very
because he can't
commendable.
win, maybe he knows he can't win in 2017 with the Tigers because they're rebooting, retooling, whatever you want to call it. Is it because of that maybe as well? And he sees this being his best chance to win in 2017?
That's great. It's always nice to represent your country, but number one in professional sports, your number one duty is to the team that's paying you, to the investors, which is the fans, and you can't take that chance because what if, the wear and tear doesn't show up until like mid-June, and then you got problems. Maybe it's not exactly stemming from the World Baseball Classic or anything like that, but you got to save. He's only got so many pitches left in that arsenal, and you got to remember, his money's guaranteed. If he goes into the Classic and just, pitches his way through it and gets hurt in the very last appearance, boom, it's done. He gets a guaranteed check for as long as the terms of that deal were signed. He gets guaranteed money. You can't take that chance. I wouldn't do it, and if I were the Tigers, I would make it very clear that we frown upon that and we do not want you to be doing that. You need to focus on...
Can you do that to your player, though? Wouldn't that make him maybe want to even...
I got 28 million reasons why I can do that to
Would
you.
that
Yes.
make him want to move to LA even quicker, maybe to demand a trade? What if he demanded a trade because he wants out, now because of that refusal of letting him play in the World Baseball Classic?
Listen,
what if it, does that, though?
Listen, he's a competitive guy. I don't see him being a crybaby, understanding why he would be not allowed to do it. I don't think he could be frustrated, but I'd say, hey, take the frustration out on the mound. Literally, all you got to do is say, you sit down with the guy, you go, listen, put yourself in our shoes. Would you want a player that you're allocating that much money to go out there and risk getting hurt? No.
He's all about JV, though, and doing JV. He's doing him. He's not worried about, filling the shoes of somebody else and being in their shoes. He's worried about JV. The egotistical Justin Verlander that he is. Come on.
Listen, I think he's got a big ego athletically, but I think he's a
You think he's better than that?
Yeah, I think he's a nice guy. I don't think that he would totally be opposed to understanding the reasoning behind not wanting to go to and not being allowed to go to the World Baseball Classic. Come on now.
But as a former Tigers skipper, his former skipper of the Tigers, Jim Leyland, managing the team, I would love to play for Jim Leyland again. I think he would as well. People loved Jim Leyland in the Tigers clubhouse. Don't you think it presents a great opportunity for him to reconvene with his former manager too? I know what you're saying. I know I'm really giving you a hard time.
No, it's okay. You know what else I would like? I'd like an executive suite at Comerica Park when I retire. I'd like my number retired. I'd like an opportunity to maybe broadcast for the team, maybe having a guaranteed job with the team for the rest of my life. So if you want to burn that bridge, go ahead, JV. Do your thing, baby. You can do whatever you want. But when it comes down to celebrating the 2012 World Series team in 2022, we lost your invitation. Sorry.
You've got to celebrate his legacy. You can't have hard feelings like that. Be so offended.
If you were to get hurt from the World Baseball Classic, I'm the kind of guy that goes, okay.
F you? You're saying F you to Justin Verlander, the best pitcher in perhaps almost in Tigers history. Top 3 starting pitcher in Tigers history.
If the mandate is do not go.
You keep using that mandate. You want to go on a... Never mind. Go on.
If you disobey what I'm thinking and you go out there and you get hurt and then I'm on the hook for another $50, $60 million, you better believe that when it comes down to those parties, you ain't coming. No doubt about it. But I don't, that's just me. I'm not saying the Tigers will
You're
do
a hard
that.
ass, man.
You have to be. I mean, if you really just willy-nilly let everyone do whatever they want, you'd have all these guys showing up to the ballpark in motorcycles.
Well, that's what you want. You want them to have fun.
It's got to be structure.
No, it can't be fun all the time. It can't be. There has to be a structure and regulations, right? Rules and regulations, and maybe that should be regulated. That rule should be handed down that, hey, JV, you're not pitching in the World Baseball Classic because your right arm is way too important to the Tigers' success, if there is going to be any, in 2017. So I get your point. I'm just giving you a hard time, Doc.
Exactly. You got to be a little more stringent, man. Look at what Carolina did. They benched their star quarterback because he didn't wear a tie. That was ridiculous.
That was stingy. That was stingy, right?
Yes, that's a little stingy.
But the head coach making sure everybody knows this rule is for everybody. I don't care if this guy won an MVP and led our team to the Super Bowl last year. This rule is for everybody. And I kind of like that out of Ron Rivera at the same time.
Rivera's going to see his way out of a job. So it doesn't
He might
matter.
not. Yeah. So
I think at that point, with that kind of rule, it might be a him or me kind of thing going on.
He got his way, but he might not get his way in the end. Now, not this season, but I get your point because some coaches will bite the bullet when it comes to their star player. The star player gets their way, definitely.
So over under 50% JV pitches in the World Baseball Classic.
I'm going to say over at this point, but not heavily over. I'm going to say 55% playing Big Vito's. It's Big Vito's over under. You got to give that. Come on. Big Vito's over under. I'll say 55%, Doc. How about you then?
Okay, I would say under. Maybe slightly, maybe 40, 45% he does it. What do you think about Bruce Rondon? Over under. Big Vito style, 50%.
Of him pitching? I would say yes. I think he will be in shape, so I think he will pitch for Team Venezuela. Now, we're playing Big Vito's over-under now, again here, about a big topic that's going on in Major League Baseball as a whole, and it's about Bryce Harper being the first $400 million man.
Woo.
Wow, big money, 10 years, $400 million in totality. Wow, wow, wow.
Whoa.
Right?
Shocking numbers.
Smart or dumb? And we can play Big Vito's over-under here, too. But first off, smart or dumb, I think it's ludicrous to offer him that much money. And he's demanding that supposedly, and guess what? He has Scott Boras as his agent. So he's going to get top dollar. And over the long term, maybe over 10 years. And I think I could give him 7, 8, 9 years, maybe even 9 or 10 years. But for the amount of money I'm paying him, I'm not going to give him $400 million in totality.
We got to table that. Breaking news as we're recording this. Da-na-na.
Da-da-da.
Guess what the Red Sox did?
They signed somebody?
They got Chris Sale.
Wow, they pulled off the trade for Chris Sale. Where's Dominic Chirco? Dom? Where's Dom at? Dom? He was going to maybe be on this podcast.
Breaking.
Too.
Red Sox acquire White Sox 5-time All-Star starting pitcher Chris Sale in a deal involving top prospect Yoan Moncada.
Wow, well, they had to give up. That's giving up the farm. That's their top prospect, like you just said. And nobody thought he would be available. Well, he wasn't in many trades. It had to take an ace-caliber arm like Chris Sale going the other way for the Red Sox to give up Moncada. So a great deal potentially for both clubs, Doc. Big time. So the Red Sox are benefiting because now they have, guess how much they're benefiting. They're going to have Chris Sale, David Price, and Rick Porcello 1 through 3 at the top of their rotation. How great is that? Well, that's probably great enough to put the Red Sox over the top. And guess what? Dave Dombrowski, the front office head honcho there in Beantown now, he is hoping that does come to fruition, that this deal for Chris Sale puts the Bo Sox over the top. Because getting rid of Moncada means that Chris Sale better work out in Beantown, because if he doesn't, Dave Dombrowski has to hear about it for a long time, and it might cost him almost, now this is really a hot take here, and we're not trying to be hot take central, but if I was Skip Bayless here, I would say that this deal could potentially cost Dave Dombrowski his job. So it could get the Red Sox over the top and help them reach the Fall Classic in 2017, or it could heavily deter what people think about Dave Dombrowski as the front office head honcho of the Boston Red Sox.
So you think this is a move that could put the Red Sox over? What's your initial reaction to the deal? It's interesting that, man, Dave Dombrowski is not afraid to let go of marquee talent.
He ain't afraid of anything.
Unbelievable.
He holds
move,
no
huh?
punches. Unbelievable move. Puts the Bo Sox as a favorite in the American League. It does. They're ahead of the Indians. The Indians overachieved. They're ahead of the Tigers. They're ahead of how many teams? They're ahead of, I'm not going to just say a few teams, those few teams. I'm going to say everybody right now. So a big move for the Bo Sox. Now, how big of a move would it be to get Bryce Harper for the Yankees or another ball club? But the question for you was, regarding Bryce Harper, him becoming the first $400 million man in Major League Baseball history. He's young, great, won the MVP in 2015, but his 2016 wasn't great. I wouldn't give him that much money, would you? And would you say that it's smart or dumb to give him that much money over, let's say, 10 years too, Doc?
Well, his numbers indicate that he should be up there ranked in terms of the highest paid. But yeah, the market, who's the highest paid right now? Who's the highest paid athlete right now in Major League Baseball?
Well, I mean, that would be a tough one. I don't know. Look it up while you're talking there. I was going to say, though, Mike Trout. I wanted to compare Mike Trout and Bryce Harper here. Mike Trout has already been paid, and his contract is the following. It is 6 years at $144.5 million in totality. So he is signed through 2020 with that contract. And Trout, by the way, has won 2 MVPs, just turned 25 in August. Trout is the guy that should be paid as the first $400 million man in Major League Baseball history. And now, if Bryce Harper gets that deal of 10 years and $400 million, or let's just say $400 million in totality, then Mike Trout better get his agents together and better renegotiate his deal as quick as possible. Because if Harper's getting that much, Trout better get more than $400 million. Trout's been almost worth, you could say, double what Harper has been worth. Almost at least double. So if Harper's going to get $400 million in totality over 8, 9, or 10 years, well, Mike Trout better get about $800 million. And that's never going to happen. That's ludicrous, but the Players Union would love it. And you know they're going to fight for Harper's right to get $400 million. And Trout, when he becomes a free agent once again, you know they're going to fight for him to get that much if Harper gets it when he becomes a free agent as part of an extremely deep free agent class of 2018. It's a star-studded free agent class of 2018 that has Bryce Harper as the headliner, but you could almost argue Harper's the headliner, but you could almost argue that another marquee free agent by the name of Manny Machado, the third baseman of the Baltimore Orioles, realistically should be the headliner of that free agent class in 2018, because he's been worth more WAR. When you look at the numbers here, you will see that Manny Machado over the past 3 seasons has been worth 16-point WAR, according to baseballreference.com. Now, in comparison, Bryce Harper over the past 3 seasons has been worth, and let's make sure I get this right, has been worth 12.6 wins above replacement. And remember, most of the WAR for Harper came in 2015 when he won the NL Most Valuable Player Award with 9.9 WAR. And all WAR totals, once again, are compiled from baseballreference.com. And Trout's total WAR over the past 3 seasons, in comparison, has been 27.8, with, as I said, 2 MVP trophies to show for it, and a runner-up finish sandwiched in between. So that tells you how much better Trout has been than Bryce Harper, how much better that Manny Machado has been over the past 3 seasons than Bryce Harper. They're more reliable guys that you can bank on for consistent productivity at this point than Bryce Harper. And people are seriously arguing for Bryce Harper to become the first $400 million man. I don't believe it should happen, and honestly, at this point, I don't believe it will happen, even though the Yankees might be loading up for a run at Bryce Harper when he becomes a member of that free agent class in 2018, Doc.
All right, so looking at the highest paid athletes according to AOL.com.
AOL.com, we're going way back here.
6th, Felix Hernandez, $25.8 million.
Kershaw's up there too, right? He's right up there.
Yep. Detroit Tigers.
And Verlander.
Miguel Cabrera, $28 million. David Price, $30 million at number 3.
Look at that.
Number 2 is Zach Greinke, comes in at 34. And the number 1 highest paid athlete is Clayton Kershaw,
yep, that makes
$34.5 million. So, see, if you want to make him the highest paid athlete, I know they want to set the bar for other agents. Got to do that.
And for the players' union too, it benefits the players' union. Yeah,
to go to 40.
Yep.
But I think the fair value is anywhere between 10 years, $350, and 10 years, $375 million.
I would say 30 to 35
fair.
mil per season is fair for Bryce Harper.
Exactly.
But now, how about Trout? What if Harper gets that much money? Mike Trout should renegotiate his deal. Like I said, it's 6 years for $144.5 million.
Listen, you're not going to. Baseball's not like football. You don't open up and renegotiate it. But
I'm saying renegotiating Mike Trout's deal. Don't you think they should, though? I mean, his agents should push for it. The players' union would push for it. If Harper's being paid that much and Trout's been worth as much more WAR as I noted already, 27.8 WAR with 2 MVP trophies to show for it in the past 3 seasons. So the differential in WAR there is huge. When you look at, once again, Harper's WAR over the past 3 seasons has been 12.6. That's a big differential in wins above replacement. And Trout has his contract already signed, as I said, through 2020, and then Harper might be getting that much money? Wow. There's a gap there that should not be as large of a gap. There's a problem there, in so many words, because Trout should be paid at least as much, and honestly, like I said, you could argue he's been worth double what Harper, at least double what Harper's been worth over the past 3 seasons, Doc. So I can tell that you think it wouldn't be totally smart to pay Harper that much money, to make him a $400 million man and the first ever in Major League Baseball history.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, the rich keep on getting richer, and then just
the little guys like us, we just sit back and don't get richer.
Hey,
ever.
Listen, Vito.
Right?
Listen, Vito, you have an interesting attitude that is something that we just got to tweak a little bit in 2017. Of course we're going to get rich. Why do you think we're doing this?
Because you're in it for me to get rich.
Exactly.
To benefit me, not yourself. You're all about others, right?
Exactly.
You're a caring, loving gentleman.
I want Vito to get rich, and if you listen to my counsel, you will be very satisfied. I mean, you are cashing checks from this network, aren't you?
I am now. After maybe 2-3 weeks later than I should be cashing those checks.
Listen, when I tell you don't cash it for 3 weeks, I'm only kidding. You're allowed to go right when I write it to cash it, okay? Waiting a month. Look at you. But the good thing is about you is you go, standard 0.5% raise every year. So that's very good. Imagine if you went from that to like a 6,000% raise. We'd have to have a negotiation.
Well, what is Castellanos? Like we said earlier, his raise is significant.
It's over 100%.
Right?
Yeah.
It's extremely huge, and we would love to get that. But I'll take
the more podcasts.
I'll take a little.
The more podcasts you do, the more money you're going to make. I'll tell you that.
Absolutely. That's how it should be.
Exactly.
It equates to success, right? For all of us at this podcast network. Now, wanted to ask you, over or under 50% that Harper gets paid as richly as being reported right now?
I think it'll be under. I think he'll get in the neighborhood of 375, 380. You ask high and you negotiate down. If they pay it, oh my gosh, within our lifetime, there'll be a $500 million guy.
Absolutely.
And you know who might be?
And then the prices have to escalate. Maybe for, Zuzu. He should be worth that much. If Harper's getting $400 million, that guy's already a prodigy. He's how old and he's already a stud.
Let's put it out there, man. 10 years, $500 million for the little nephew. When he turns 18, he might be by that time at $600 million.
Let's negotiate the contract. Let's be his agents.
I think, you know what would happen? I really believe I'd get a settlement to never talk to him again.
Because you would take all his money pretty much?
No,
you negotiate the deal, then
they'd be like, listen, your uncle is a liability. He said some things on the internet. It lives forever. Let's just give him, cool $1 million. He'll go away. He'll probably be happy. And we'll never have to deal with him again. It's probably worth the price to, keep me out of the picture. So I'll take
cool
it.
$1 to silence the Podfather forever.
I take it. I definitely would take it, no doubt.
It'd be a Godfather move, right?
A
Vito Corleone move.
Man,
or Vito Jerome move to silence the Podfather.
Yeah. There's no way.
Cool
I don't understand how people, if you play a sport, would play football. When you look at these numbers,
oh my God,
you get cut. You get cut and no money.
It's so hard to keep making it. The money's not guaranteed. And then the injuries.
Play baseball,
the
basketball.
Violence, right? Baseball's, oh my God, these looming contracts. With the current state of the game, the new CBA, everything's going up, my man. Maybe not as much, like you said, the luxury tax didn't go up as much. You said it was going to be to $205 million, right? Didn't you say that? It's at $195. Well, still, look at the rising TV contracts, all the TV revenue being made. That's why I knew CBA. You knew there was going to be, just some good stuff in there for Major League Baseball. And its players, they really can't complain. They're benefiting big time. And when you see the contracts being thrown out there, like the one to Rich Hill, you know that the current state of Major League Baseball is really at its finest that it's ever been, Doc.
I bet you didn't catch the nugget, though, in terms of where there was a concession. Did you catch that little nugget at the end of the talk and the report about the collective bargaining agreement?
What was it? Refresh my memory.
Less money for food budget for the players.
Who cares? They can pay for their own food. Like Verlander and Kate Upton are really struggling to eat. They're malnourished. No way. Don't feel bad for them.
I would abolish it completely. They get a budget
right. They don't deserve it. They're not in college. They're not student athletes. Those guys get that, and they barely get any kind of food stipend or whatever. So covering Major League Baseball players for food, that's ludicrous. I would have a beef. I do have a beef with that, and I can tell you have at least a mini beef with that as well, Doc.
Well, it got caught, so that's good. I don't know exactly.
Good. I don't know how that was in the language before for the previous CBA. That made no sense to me. So there's always going to be stuff that doesn't make sense. But I think what Major League Baseball once again is working with is a good thing for the league, and a lot of what the new language is in this CBA that just, was officially signed. I think it makes sense. I think it's a good thing for Major League Baseball, and I think we're going to see the league continue to flourish, Doc, big time. All
right, let's get out of here. What's Vito's sneak preview for next week? What are we going to be honing in on? What should I be reading, looking at for the next week? What's Vito's sneak preview?
Well, it's episode 70, the big episode 70, and we got to talk about really a recap of the winter meetings, what went down for the Tigers. Did anything significant go down? Maybe not. Maybe not. And maybe the Chris Sale move that we talked about as it broke during our podcast this week, that might end up being the biggest news that broke this week during the winter meeting. So it could be. We'll recap the winter meetings, though, and see if that is true on next week's episode. Once again, episode 70 of the podcast. And with that, Doc, thank you very much for all your time on this week's edition. Thank you to all our listeners as usual. Keep tuning in until the end of this year, and hopefully you tune in with us in the new year as well. Guys, thank you. Have a great week, and talk to you next week. Goodbye.